welcome everyone. We're so glad you could join us again for the fourth of a 5-part webinar series on building emotional resilience. Today is part 4, as I said, and we're going to be having a reflective conversation about the referral process. My name's Nicole Parody. I'm with the Alliance for the Advancement of Infant Mental Health, and together with our partners in Tennessee, we've been able to put together this webinar series to introduce some concepts related to relationship-based work with infants, young children, caregivers, and families. We'll be hearing today from Fran Jozefowicz and Deborah Weatherston, who you've come to know during the first 3 webinars, and we're really honored today to also be joined by Melissa Threadgould. Melissa's endorsed as an infant mental health specialist in Michigan. She's been in the field for 22 years, and during that time she's worked for child care centers, Head Start programs, and at a mid-Michigan community mental health agency for hospital-based urgent care, and also in an intensive home-based mental health services program for families with children up to age 6. As a social worker, Melissa's committed to diverting families away from the water instead of pulling them and their children out of the river by helping to foster healthy relationships right from the start. Melissa currently supervises the early intervention unit at her community mental health and is a rostered child parent psychotherapist and supervisor. She was also a lead trainer for the Parent Management Training Oregon program and other evidence-based practices. We're really honored to have Melissa join us, and she's going to start us off by reminding us of the pillars of infant and early childhood mental health practice, and in this instance, how they relate to providing reflective referrals.
Thank you. So there's 3 pillars that we're going to go over today. The first one is diversity-informed practice. So when thinking about the tenets, we're thinking about self-awareness. What values, beliefs, background, what do you believe? What do you believe about what concerns led to the referral? Consider, can I put myself in their shoes? What do they hear when I make a proposal for the referral? Do they hear your child is slow? Your child can't get by later without help? Do they hear you're a bad parent? You need help. You can't do this on your own. What lens do I use when filtering their reactions and responses to my proposal for a referral? We also know that language can hurt and language can heal. Language can connect or damage the bridges that we're trying to build with families. Communication, it's so important. Communication is body language, imagery, other models of nonverbal communication. Most inclusively, they need to convey a belief in the strength of the child and the family. Consider, what message am I sending? Pillar number 2, centrality of relationships. This pillar says it all to me, doesn't it to you guys? Yeah? So how vital is trust for a family who's leery about making themselves or their child vulnerable to situations and other professionals that they don't know? Whether it be a referral for speech services, for a food bank, or for the scary academic specialty services. Asking families to step out of what they know and invite in services, professionals, and really routines, that's not so simple. Relationships, they go stronger with consistency, showing up time after time, and their initial reaction to your concerns, if they were anger, pensiveness, or just lack of follow-through, the reaction may be different later in time. It's worth revisiting at different points in time. Lastly, pillar number 3, reflective practices. Along with never forgetting that relationships are the center of our work, it's key to emotional resilience to honor the parent's experience. Not only their life experience, but the experience of hearing that there are concerns with their child. What did they take away? What does hearing that you or others want to bolster them and support them, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to them? Fran will talk about the 4 little words.
Right, Melissa. We have in the past 2 webinars been focusing on the use of the process that's intrinsic to reflection, which we're calling the four little words. And these words are observe, observation, paying attention to what you see, listening. And as Melissa pointed out, it includes seeing what you may not be hearing, but observing what is being communicated to you non-verbally. Then wondering, what does it all mean? And wondering, where are we in this relationship in terms of what can the parent hear at this point? What will be helpful? And then making the choice in how to respond. And as Melissa's pointed out, the initial response by the family to what you say may indeed not be the one you had been hoping for, but there will be more times. As you take a minute to view the 9 tips for making successful referrals, you will note that it's taken directly from the infographic that accompanies this webinar. And probably you will astutely notice how they flow from the pillars of infant and early childhood mental health practice and the 4 little words process. So now I am inviting you to listen to a conversation Melissa and I have about approaching a family concerning a possible referral for one of the children. Melissa, we have talked previously about what's happening with Ray and Joni and the little one, Johnny. You've talked before about your worries about his learning lags and likely regulation challenges he will struggle with when he gets to school and probably lead to some not so good outcomes.
So Johnny has been home in a home daycare for a while, pre-COVID times. We were working on, I was working on, I guess, trying to get him into a more formal preschool. Mom and Dad were on board with that, but they don't feel the urgency, I guess, that I feel about getting him in some supports, some special ed supports and some special ed evals to help him both behaviorally and with his learning lags. That's one thing I like though about this family is, even though sometimes I have to say I feel a little bit frustrated with them because they're not moving at the pace that I want them to, they are very united in their approach to having children and their values. And a lot of kids that I see, their parents are arguing and there's a lot of ambivalence. This family is very committed to their beliefs.
Wow. You've been able to identify a lot of strengths in your time with them. And I'm sure the way you're with them, they feel your belief in them and your admiration for how they do things with their family.
Sometimes, but I also feel like I overstep what I should be saying sometimes, or what they're ready to hear, I guess. And so I'll observe Mom when I've talked too long, or she thinks I'm talking too early, like I started talking about this months ago. She'll pull out her phone and disengage and look at her email or go to take out the garbage or something like that. You know, I'm a home-based therapist, so she'll kind of disengage. She won't abruptly do it with me, but there are ways that she's disengaging when I bring up certain topics.
Mm-hmm. So she's kind of teaching you how much she can take from you at a time, and and also the way that she can hear things.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you had a direct conversation about what Johnny might need?
I have. They're more concerned about his behavior, getting him kicked out of school, than they are his academic lags. So that's tricky, because part of the way you would get special accommodations for the behavior is to route in through special education, or what we call a 504 plan or something like that, where you get the professionals involved and have your child evaluated, and then they build a accommodation plan around them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little tricky.
Yes.
I really want to talk about the lags and development.
Well, you want the best for Johnny. I can hear that. And it sounds like the parents do, but what is best, you still have a language problem together. Yeah.
I think I'm going to just keep showing up, honestly. And I'm going to keep doing the screeners that that mom and dad are interested in, just to see how they've progressed, like the ages and stages and such. But I have to just kind of walk along with them. There are some programs here that have deadlines. So because I am obligated, I tell them about the deadlines, and sometimes they let me for like Head Start, for Great Start readiness,
for registrations.
Yeah. So if it weren't COVID, I would offer to go on a classroom visit with them. I have many contacts at Head Start, the GSRP room, so I would offer to go meet with the teacher with them, show the kids the school, because the kids would love the playground and the gyms and all that.
Right. You did mention that the parents were concerned about Johnny getting kicked out because of his behaviors. Do they have some concerns about those behaviors at home also?
They do, but structure is a little bit loose there, so he doesn't tend to have limits, things that a classroom might give you limits for, or have transitions at school when you wouldn't necessarily have transitions at home. And he comes again from a home daycare where the structure was really loose.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking is they want him to stay in school when he goes to school, and he needs to learn those kind of the rules of school, because he's never had them before. And so if there was a way to tie that together, do you think there's a way to put it together for them that might get them to try it? Especially if it's reinforced that they're in charge. Their child doesn't have to stay there if they don't like how it's going when it's preschool.
I think you hit on something, Fran. I do try to hit on that, just that they're the drivers of this train, and the train can go to these places, and there are deadlines to buy your ticket for certain things, but some of it can loop around again. But that is really important to them, because I think I told you that they have had a lot of professionals involved in their life and people telling them what to do.
Right.
And so I think they do appreciate the fact that I am not making them do anything, that I don't want to have the teeth to make them do anything. And what they're doing is not, it's all choices. There's nothing child welfare related at this point.
So safety is not the issue.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget that. I get it a little blurred though, because my own wants and needs and values come to the forefront of my eyes.
Then keeping that focus and yet respectful of their own pacing, and also the quality of your relationship with them, the trust level. It sounds like it's really grown in the 10 years. How about 10 months? I
think so. I think they're trusting me more, and I appreciate appreciate them and see many more of their strengths than I saw at the beginning. They were a third-party referral that wasn't sure about us, but they let me in too. And they keep me there of their own volition.
Right, right. So it sounds to me you're going in the right direction. They're allowing you and kind of joining with you.
I hate to say it, Fran, I almost want to knock on wood. So I feel like we're headed in the same direction. I feel like we're going in the same direction at this point.
You're willing to put yourself kind of on the line, stay with them, hold the course, appreciate them, but all the while offering something that might pique their interest in terms of helping their own child. You've given assessments or windows into what some of the capacities are. You've put out ideas. Your pacing is so beautiful. They have come to trust you. It's in my mind, you've really shown us what a reflective referral process is. You've given really such a humane and gentle approach to a family that is strong and resourceful. You haven't forgotten that. They're also frightened and uncertain. You hold that at the same time. I think there's a lot of, there's a tension when we do that. You feel the urgency to push them on, yet you steady yourself and hold yourself back. They're so lucky to have you. In our final webinar, we will review the pillars, the 4 little words, service to families, and include the assessment process too. 4 of us are going to participate in a panel. So we'll be going back and forth with questions and responses that we hope will make this whole process livelier, intriguing, and reinforce what you're already doing, many of you. Your caring for families is why you're showing up for this webinar. We look forward to number 5. Thanks, everybody.